Hey, welcome to the Mark Workman Show and the Pioneer Mind podcast, where pioneers start every story. Literally nothing in this world's history has ever started without someone who saw themselves as a pioneer, stepping off of what they know to what they don't know. Literally, they have no idea of the results. They don't know the outcomes. They don't know what's coming. They don't know they really don't. They go with sometimes not knowing everything, but they go because they, out of necessity, maybe where they're at isn't safe anymore. Maybe where they're at, there is an opportunity, and they see something that we don't. There is something to this pioneer spirit that I think has been kind of robbed from our culture. Our young people are not thinking creatively. They're in many ways, I did a podcast recently on reading books, the idea of building a foundation in you and reading books. And I'm not saying just reading for fun, but reading to learn and grow and being a lifelong learner. And I think pioneers are those people that are learning all the time. And this show really wants to emphasize this idea of you know, that as a concept in the background about pioneers and how they build and shape our world. And I believe they're absolutely critical to rise up in this time in history. A lot of people would say, well, we got AI, we got all this innovation, all these things going on. But the truth of the matter is there's something going on here with the people in terms of creativity and creating things that are actually beneficial. So, and then when you look at the oil field, talk about people going into the unknown. They drill holes in the ground where they have no idea. I mean, they do a lot of research, but the truth of it is these guys are pioneers. And, here on July 4th, we're really in a situation where we're celebrating our nation. And I said this to my guest, Tommy here, you're going to meet him here in a minute. But, I was telling him earlier is that I feel so strongly about this industry and what we're doing. And I love the people in it and how they really try to work together to solve problems. And I think the idea here is that I really don't think we'd even be a nation without this industry. You can look at other things, insurance or whatever sector you want to find. They could go away and we'd still be a nation. You rip the energy sector out of this nation and what we do in this country, around the world, the leadership we do, the technology we develop, the efficiencies we develop, the people, the knowledge base, the infrastructure in place, all those kind of things, we would be sorely in a bad spot as a country. And I believe so strongly in this industry. And again, one of my goals with the show is to promote this industry, promote my people, promote myself, RMI Supply. I've been building this, working on it for a lot of years and building trust, authority, integrity. And I believe in this industry, people that don't walk in those kind of things, and I'm not bragging or boasting about who I think I am. What I'm saying is if you don't have character, you don't have integrity, you don't have the work ethic, you don't return your calls, you don't solve problems, you don't jump in there and fix it and help fix it, and you disappear, you're gone in this industry. You do not make it. We work together, everybody does, and it's an industry that I have found with just some of the best people in the world that I've received way more encouragement from people than I've ever given. And it's amazing how men before me, I'm old now, I'm 61. I've been doing this for a long time, but at the same time, there's guys that are ahead of me that took me in and said, Mark, this is what you're missing. This is what you need to do. And again, I'm not some sort of chemist or a genius mud engineer or anything like that. I understand the language, but there was things I was missing early on and I needed people to step beside me and do that. So, I love this industry. I want to promote it. And that's what this show is about. So if you can subscribe and like. Next week, I have shows on oil and gas investing. I have two other shows I'm doing. So just encourage you to join and subscribe and like. So, that would be great. Well, today we have with us Tommy Rivas, and he is he's a genius. You know why? Because beside his name is technical sales, and I always laugh because I get these guys on the phone, and sometimes my head just starts sweating. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're just they're so smart, and you probably don't even realize how much information's in their head sometimes in terms of things you just spit out automatically, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy, and when I see a technical sales title by somebody, I think I told you this one time, maybe one of our first calls a few weeks back. I said, "Oh, so you're a genius," and you kinda laughed at me
Like,
and
no, 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 no.
but it's totally true. So this is Tommy Rivas. He's with Dynamic Drilling Fluids. I love this company. They're a leader in the industry. They absolutely have superior efforts in every way in terms of engineering products and all that kind of stuff. So I can easily promote these guys, stand by a testimony in my own business and what I've worked with them and how much I appreciate this company. So here's Tommy Rivas. And Tommy, tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe a little of your history.
Yes, sir. So, I started back in 2011 in the drilling fluids community. I started with a small company called Alliance Drilling Fluids. They're a great small mom and pops company, and were eventually bought out by New Park in 2013. So
Okay.
transitioned to New Park.
Big
Nothing
corporate.
big
Big, you went
corporate,
from
right?
small to big corporate.
Yes, yes, sir. And it was a change for me. And one of my great mentors, Paul Webb, he went over to NOV. Didn't even know NOV had drilling fluids. I thought they were shakers, main
Sure.
items that you needed on the rig. Had no idea. He's like, why don't you come over here? I'm like, well, what am I going to do there? Like, all I know is drilling fluids right now. He brought
Right.
me in and showed me the other world of there is a fluid side to NOV, which I'll lead into as well. So I went to NOV from 2013 to 2020. That was a good stint there. I got to work from the field to supervisor to technical sales, and then from technical sales to area manager, and then I got to close the doors on the
Oh,
fluid
wow.
side. And 2020, uh, just in the U.S., NOV does have fluids. Uh, International, but just US, we shut that all down. We sold all our assets at that point, and then so I went over to, a good company, a good friend of mine, Tom Needman, called me from Geo Drilling Fluids, said,
Yeah.
"Hey, I know you, just, shut the doors. Do you need a spot?" And I was like, "Absolutely." He's like, "Come on
Yeah.
over, I'll put you on a rig." It's sounds great to me, so jumped on that, did that for about a year, and then I went over to another small company to see how things would start up. I mean, always looking at visions and seeing where things
Yep.
will lead to, and went to Basin Fluids for about 2 years, and then
Yeah.
I
I
went
know
ahead
Basin.
and
Yep.
yes, sir, good guys there. Then I went ahead and went to try my own thing. I started up True Fluids, which the best lessons in business are the hardest ones that you learn. That's the best way to say it. I won't sugarcoat it. I mean, well, I tried for a year drilling fluids and it just wasn't really going. So turned and pivot, did a toll blending facility for a little bit, and I had a couple partners. That didn't go too well with my partners, and my partner said, kind of left me high and dry and took off, and that was it. Just like, but a lot of lessons in there.
Yeah,
I'll say
you
that.
get some of your best education when you step out on your own. That's that pioneer thing. Literally
Yes, sir.
you're stepping out into the unknown. You don't really know the results. And really what I have found, you just kind of hit the nail on the head. When you're stepping out on your own like that, who you absolutely connect with is the most important thing. It
Yes, sir.
absolutely is the critical thing is who you're connected, who you're traveling with, right? Who you're
Right.
on the wagon with. Let's think of it that way as a pioneer. Are they
There you
going to
go.
have your back? Are they going to have your back? And to be honest with you, I always get on my conference calls with my team. There's about 10 of us and that work together. We all have different roles and do different things. And I always tell them, we don't want all the business. We want all the good business. And what I mean by that is people that see us as a partner are loyal to us. We go to the bat for them. A lot of times there's troubles and we'll make sure something happens for them and they love that kind of thing. But it's on both sides. It's the people I'm working with and also my customer side. There's guys that I don't want anything to do with because I know too much. You mentioned one name earlier. I won't do it here, but I just know how they are and just
Mhm.
I might never get paid. I hate to say it that way. And so, you know,
Understood.
I want all the good business, I don't want all the business, and so
Right, and you're
it's
absolutely right on that point. I mean, um, I said that it's probably the tougher lessons to learn along the way, you know, when starting a company, trying to do something, it's learning lessons, and you try to really trust people in the industry, and there's just some that you can't, and it happens, but you have to learn the hard way sometimes, unfortunately, so,
well,
um
this business is real. The oil field. It's interesting. I had a trucking company for 11 years as well, so I've been kind of a serial entrepreneur, and have always been in this logistics control. All the things I do is the skill set I have, but at the same time, uh, I don't know if I've ever been in an industry that is more personable, and in a sense of a lot of times you're having discussions and you're doing things off what someone says according to their word. I'll get
Yes,
this
sir.
done, I'll deliver that. And everyone thinks this is some sort of massive industry with, there's a lot of employees and it's shrinking, but at the same
Mhm.
time, there's just a handful of decision makers.
That's right.
There's not a big range of who people I can call and get an answer from. It's just very small and it's very personable and it's very relational. And if you're not in the set, you're not in. If they don't like you, in my opinion, and so it does create an environment where, as an industry, we kind of are huge worldwide, affect everything. At the same time, it's just like you and our conversation right now, Tommy. It's very personable.
Uh,
You know,
that
so
that's it.
it
Yes,
it it
sir.
really it really is true. So, in terms of dynamic drilling fluids, can you give us a little bit of history there? Again, I think the world of the company and in terms of how they've treated me and the respect I've been treated with. So, tell me a little bit about them.
Yes, sir. So I'll lead up from that last point, you know, I went and tried my own thing, didn't work out, just turned around and it's like knew Justin, Mr. Justin
Oh,
Hunter, and said, "Hey, you need any salespeople, field guys? I don't care. Just put me on something so I can get the wheels turning again, you know?"
right.
And he said, "Absolutely," you know, brought me in, and that was in 2023, right there. And so once I did that, I mean, it's been great. From what I know, Dynamic was founded in 2008 in South Texas,
Okay.
and 2012 is when Justin started the West Texas division, which Permian Basin where we're out of. So um, a big thing,
That's interesting because that's about when I met him. So he must have just kind of got going.
just slipped Halliburton.
I did not know that. That's
Yeah,
shocking. Okay. Huh.
yes, sir. So I said, that we've been running since 2012. We've had tons of rigs and we've had 2 rigs, you know? It's just the way
Yeah.
the industry goes, and we fight it tooth and nail. I mean, personally, there's, things that, I don't know why sometimes I do drilling fluids because in my head, I'm like, "Man, it's a tough industry to sell, like, it's tough, it's rough out
Yeah.
there." But then I
Yeah.
remember, like, I love it. I mean, the passion of drilling fluids, I love, and like you said earlier, having knowledge, I mean, reading and doing those things help get you to another point to be able to be in technical sales or being more technical out in the field and things. So definitely, like that point there. Um, as to dynamic, we've been doing pretty well this year. We are very good on, say, I like to touch on customer service. I mean, we make sure we are in front of everybody and anything happens, I mean, we're Johnny on the spot. We're gonna make sure that you're taken care of. We don't want any of our customers to ever think that we're just another vendor. At the end of the day, we
Right.
want people to know that, hey, Dynamic will step in and take care of us. And even if it's having to eat costs for a situation that might have happened that we're unsure of, that
Right.
might have been us, it might have been the well, we don't know, you know. And there's a lot of those situations that happen, and it's just a matter of figuring them out and true trial and error. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of that that does go on, but there's a lot that we can engineer and make sure that this is the way it goes. But unfortunately, we do have wells that will take on a flow or
It's
have
crazy.
some that we didn't anticipate, you know. crazy things have happened to me during my career, and, I'm just like, "Never saw that coming," you know? But it does
No,
happen.
that's that pioneer thing, like, I even ask I have a guy that I do a regular show with, and he's a operator, actually, and I just said, "There's times when you're talking, I'm like, 'Why in the heck would you do this?'" You know? You know what I mean? And you start thinking about it, it literally is absolutely in the dark. You don't know. Every well's a pioneering situation, right?
Absolutely, and the
It
crazy thing is we have to look at it in the standpoint of, "Hey, we gotta trust in our guys in the field," and which we do, and
Yep.
telling us the information that they're getting out there, what they're seeing going in, what's coming out, because we can't see downhole. I mean, I wish we
No.
could, that'd be amazing.
Right.
We
That's
we
right.
wouldn't be sitting right here, Mark.
Right. No, that's right.
But, we can't see that, but all we can do is take the information that we know beforehand and take the information we get after and build a case and figure out what's going on, what's changing, what's trending, those things so we can, make a conclusion and then, "Okay, this is what we think is strong. Now we need to go ahead and make a treatment,
Right.
adjustments, or whatever it may be."
No, that's right, and it's interesting. So what's the biggest challenge for a technical sales, a guy like you, in this environment right now, in this time in history? This We got an Iran war, we got prices that have been very volatile, very up to 120 recently, I think, 118
Uh,
down to 68. You got competitors out there. You're basically in West Texas. You don't reach out to that, do you?
we don't really reach out too much. We do touch a little bit of Oklahoma, and we got a sales guy down there named Sammy Chandler.
Yeah, I know.
But
Yeah, Sammy. Yeah.
yeah, Sammy's great. I love him.
Hmm.
And, he takes care of business up there and he's kind of like me, jack of all trades, technical sales, everything else. And I mean, I think the toughest thing right now is just seeing what operators going to do. Because at the end of the day, we don't know if they'll pick up rigs or, right now
Right.
we're getting really efficient at drilling. I
Right.
mean, taking less time on wells and we're starting to do longer laterals, U-turn wells, those things are
Yep.
coming along now. And so seeing those things happen, it makes it tough for us to really be able to just sell mud because some of these guys got it figured out and they got them down to like cookie cutter wells as to what they're doing and that's what they want to do. And that's
Yeah.
great. But
Yeah.
there's other events that happen where some operators like, hey, we need true service 100%. We really need you out here to make sure these wells go well because we're kind of blind at this point on some of the wells that we're trying to experiment with. I mean, the big thing that's popping up in Permian Basin right now is Barnett Shale wells
Yeah.
are starting to drill, and everybody's testing it to see, and we're seeing different things and casing set differently, everything. So it makes it tough for us to really sell, just trying to navigate through it and then trying to get some of our operators that do some of those wells right now to help navigate us and where we're needing to be, and then also have that information to give, like a mud recap to another operator to show them, hey, we
Right.
can do this. We've done this in areas. Just wherever y'all want to do this, we may have some luck, we may not.
Right.
But
Well, I think, as my view of it is, the 30,000-foot view is always where I try to start, and then I get down to the small thing. But in my 30,000-foot view, I can feel like in my career now is that we're seeing so many drastic changes in terms of the industry. In my opinion, you could disagree too. Totally just have a different view. It's okay. But from my view, it's like it's shrinking because of efficiencies. At the same time, we're creating systems that are making decisions that the people used to make. And the industry's changing in a way, and I think like I'll never retire. I'm in my 60s, but I just love what I do. I'll probably the day before I get put in the ground, I might be talking to Tommy Rivas,
there you
whatever.
go. Right, right.
I hate to say it, but I'm just so driven to have fun and enjoy, and I love my work, so I'm not trying to say that too much, but my point is that I think in the next 15, 20 years, we're going to see this upheaval in the industry, like operators and the way we do it, operators, the service providers, then you have vendors, like there's a distribution chain, right?
Right.
I just wonder how that's all gonna look in the next, because I just feel like there's I can name the companies that have kinda just stepped aside and quit, and it's really interesting. So I just see a lot of change, and I wonder how it's all gonna look in the end, and maybe you have a different view on that or where you think it's going, but, these efficiencies that you mentioned are real, and they are changing the way people are absolutely spending their money, right?
Absolutely, and you're hitting a great point. I don't know what the next 5 years may look like. I mean, think
Yeah.
about it with AI. We are
Yeah.
trending really fast, and
Yeah.
it's making big waves and it's moving, and we're kinda like, "Oh, what can we trust? What we can't trust?" And then, that's why you're gonna have to have guys still double checking these systems. I think it's great in a way, but then, there's the other side of things, right? The good and the bad, So is it always going to be 100% correct?
Yeah. Well, I
No.
don't think I can remember my dad, he would taught me how to diagnose a vehicle's problem,
Yes,
and he'd
sir.
say, "Pop the hood, turn it on," and he'd put his ear over it, and he'd listen,
Yes, sir.
and he'd go, "That is the," and he'd name it, and he'd be right, and it was a sound or maybe a smell. Oh, you got blow by, whatever. It
Mhm. Yes, sir.
sounds like a dumb thing, but I don't think AI can do that. I have a friend recently, they did some AI on a well and they stopped it because it failed miserably, so, yeah, it makes a lot of mistakes and it loses the human touch and the human
Yeah.
intuition of I've done, say you as a technical sales or mud engineer have done hundreds of wells,
Right.
that wealth of knowledge is not in terms of being on site, hearing problems, seeing problems, smelling problems, whatever.
Yes, sir.
Those senses that we operate in as beings isn't in AI.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point that you make there because, for instance, I'll bring up this still, which this company I mentioned to you before, and they have a mud analyzer,
Yeah, right.
great. And I think it's a good tool for us to see trends and be able to catch things before disaster happens, right? And
Sure.
we're all out there doing our job and we expect, like the derrick hand or the pit hand to watch the fluid and tell us, every hour, every update. But sometimes those guys are in a pump, trying to get everything taken care of to get a pump back online, or they're
Right.
diagnosing something else, and we're relying on them. Well, that's kind of where that comes in and involves with the fluid itself that I think is a good thing. But I don't think they can replace the mud engineer. And a lot of guys I know that are out there, I try to tell them, like, don't be intimidated by this technology. This is good for you because you can watch a trend and you can see how things are going. And if you see something change just a little bit, you already have an indicator saying, hey, this fluid might be getting a little light on certain chemicals, or
Sure.
hey, the worst case, like what we've seen before is like water flows come in. You start seeing viscosity change, start seeing other indicators saying, hey, we got something going on down hole that we can't see. And
No.
that's when we need these kind of systems to help us. But like you said, I don't think a system like that can replace knowledge of guys seeing these things happen. I just think they're great indicators and they help the guys out there, especially our guys that are out there. Like I said, they're great about getting us this information and everything else. But if I can see another side of it, or they can paint me a picture over the phone, that's kind of what I tell these guys. Like, hey, do the best job that you can to paint me a picture of what you're seeing. You don't have to give me every detail. Like, just tell me what you're seeing. Tell me what your um testing is, rheologies, viscosity. I don't care. Just give me as much information you can, and then tell me what you saw before. Tell me what you're seeing now. What happened? Give me a little story so I can build in my head. Most of the time, I'll say like 60% of the time, I can probably diagnose it through the phone and be like, "Okay, I've seen this before, guys,"
Right.
but I've done a lot of wells over the years, I've been on a
Right.
lot of wells.
Yeah, yeah, and
So,
again, that's almost irreplaceable, and I think that's another thing that's a challenge for our industry is that, foundational, uh, you know, number of people that walk around with that knowledge is kinda decreasing, what's we maybe can jump to this question, but one of the questions beyond here is what makes a good or bad mud engineer,
yeah.
and it's so hard to become a good one. In terms of time, it takes time.
Exactly, and that's the crazy thing. So, one thing my mentor told me, he's like, I think he is 81 right now, I believe.
Wow.
Great guy, and I loved learning from him just because he had so much knowledge and been all over the country. I mean, from
Right.
here to international, I mean, he was all over the place, but there was always a gap. He told me about there's a gap in mud engineers, and I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Well, you think about it." He says, "You're here and you're 21 years old." He's
Oh
like,
my.
"Think about the next guys that you're replacing, that you're gonna
Yeah.
have to fill in." He says, "They're probably 50." You
Yeah.
know? And from there, they looking at guys like me, and at that time, he's in his 70s. He's like, "There's that gap that,
Yeah.
we have to get that knowledge, and we gotta continue to pass that knowledge along to these, younger generations, because if not, it's gonna get lost."
It
And,
will.
and he's always told me, he's like, never be afraid to share knowledge. If you ever think it's, a deal of somebody's gonna take your job because you share knowledge, it's like, that's never a good sign for you. Just always share knowledge, be helpful. Most of the time, no one's ever going to take your job because you're helping, you're trying to grow. You'll probably get a promotion versus a demotion or being let go, And there's some guys that do have that mentality out there, like, oh no, I got to keep all my knowledge. I'm like, no, I'm an open book. You can call me, and I'm like, man, I may not know that question or that answer at this point, but let me get you some more information, or hey, I might know somebody. And that's the beauty of our community, is that, we see a lot of people. We go to different areas sometimes, or we just in the Permian Basin alone, we see a lot of guys come in and out. And that's kind of where you see these things and see different things, and people know each other. And that's the great thing about this community, is like we definitely have a lot of people moving in and out that helps us expand knowledge.
100%. And again, it's one of my philosophies is I call it being others minded as a rule. Like I believe hoarding and keeping things for yourself is a selfishness that will end up destroying you.
Yes, sir.
I have benefited more in my 35-year career and I think I told you I've never had a job. I've always
Yes,
done my
sir.
own thing. Even at age 12, I was mowing lawns, making my own money. I painted houses during college. I never went and had a job ever.
Right.
You know, and the only way I've ever made it in as I've progressed in my ability to operate at higher levels or whatever I'm doing. But the trucking company is a great training ground. The oil field is amazing. You learn every day. You just can't stop.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable, right?
Yes, sir.
And I always tell my wife I'm a guy that sells chemical and either works on trucking or is reading books to figure out what this guy just called about that he needs. I don't know anything, I mean, I
Yeah,
laugh about it's crazy,
you're
but
right,
but
100%. We don't
but
always have the answer.
no, but you got to be others minded, and I always benefited from the things I gave away than the things I tried to hoard.
Absolutely.
I probably had a fear mode in 2008. Just to tell my story a little bit, is that things were kind of crashing on me. I don't know how old you were then, but I was right in the middle of my career, and I'm just like, man, this is. COVID was another one that it didn't scare me. That one didn't scare me as bad as
18 to
2008 did,
crash.
but I could see it coming, and I just like, okay. And then, and you do have this tendency to start building walls to protect yourself, right? And that's absolutely the opposite. You need to be helping everybody. You need to be, like you said, you just said helping people, others minded, your business will grow. It will flourish.
Absolutely.
I think before the show, I talked to you about the idea of we're not just producing content. I could care less
Yes, sir.
about us being down in the weeds technically or whatever. And we can go there, especially on future shows. But the truth of it
Absolutely.
is, we're trying to build the authority and trust in ourselves is that we're being genuine and we're being real and we actually care that you're on the guest, whoever is trying to learn about investing or oil and gas or other people that are in this industry that maybe want to learn some things,
Yes, sir.
that they can trust us,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. At the end of the day, I want to be known as trustworthy, you know? Um, I never want anybody to say anything bad about me, and I won't be surprised if somebody does, you know? It's okay, but I know deep down inside I was honest and trustworthy and transparent as much as possible because I'm not the greatest salesman in the world. I can tell you that right now, I'm not. But I'll tell you this, I will sell you trust because I am trusted
They
and transparency. I mean,
Wow.
I give you that all day long. But I mean, and if
It's
there's something
probably the
happens,
thing you are selling.
and that's really
Trust.
what I try.
It's not even mud and fluids in some ways, it's trust. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what
and
I mean?
some customers, yeah, they come to us because they trust us. We've worked with them before, and they're like, "Hey, we got this high profile well that we're gonna do. We need a team that really can
Yeah,
help us out, be technically sound on all these things. So let's go ahead and do this well." And it might be a
yep,
one off well, but
right.
we're there to do those wells, you know. And I think that's where that trust comes in, and they've seen us in those tough situations, making decisions with them, and everybody being a team. You know, that's the big thing out there is making the operator and every service company that's out there as a team. I think that's one of the things that we do well. We try to include everybody because we don't know all the answers. We don't know
No,
what solids controls may have been seeing for the last 10 hours, you know, or
yeah,
what might be something the pit hand saw that we didn't see. You know, we try to get everybody involved so we can all have a good idea and a good game plan moving forward.
right. Okay, well, this is a good time for a quick break for our sponsor of this show, what happens to be Dynamic Drilling Fluids. We'll be right back. This break is brought to you by Dynamic Drilling Fluids, where premium mud engineering meets real-world performance. In today's drilling environment, you don't have time for guesswork. You need a fluids partner who shows up with experience, precision, and solutions that actually move the bit. That's why operators across the country rely on Dynamic Drilling Fluids. They hand select top tier engineers, not just resumes, but proven field leaders, to design well specific fluid programs that maximize efficiency and keep operations running smooth. From high performance drilling fluids to superior engineering support, their team is built to solve problems before they become problems. With specific locations across Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Wyoming, West Virginia, and North Dakota, Dynamic Drilling Fluids is positioned where the work happens, ready to respond, support your crews, and deliver consistent results. If you want a fluids partner who understands the pressure, the pace, and the stakes of modern drilling, look to Dynamic Drilling Fluids. Premium fluids, superior engineering, real world performance. Visit dynamicdrillingfluids.com to learn more. And welcome back to the show. It's we're just glad to be back here today, and we just thank you for you joining us. And again, subscribe and like. It helps the show. It's free to you. And again, we're trying to get a message out here, and that I want to promote. There's definitely people interesting. The show is growing. I'm excited about that. You know, the first time I did a few episodes back in last year, I was so disappointed, but I realized that clicks is vanity, and really what happens is your subscriber base, even if you had 1,000 or 2,000, that message is going everywhere, whether you believe it or not. So you don't need a lot of clicks and vanity stuff. You actually just need to stay focused and do what you're doing, which is what I'm trying to do. So anyway, we're back to Tommy. We're so glad he's here. And again, he last week when I had a failure, I'll just tell on myself, I had a failure technically, and I will totally take responsibility, and what a numbskull I am. So we're back here on July 4th, believe it or not, in the morning on a holiday.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that was my nerves, honestly, to tell you the truth. I'm just so nervous and I didn't know. I was like, oh man, got me on the spot. But hey, I just got to let it happen. And it is what it is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is he said it was his nerves that caused the problem, and I said I don't think so. So, but you know, you talked about communication just a second ago. How many people do you have to communicate with on a well? Do you have a number in your head? 30, 40, 10? How many people do you communicate with on a regular basis throughout the day, maybe throughout the period of couple weeks, or how fast are you doing a well now? Couple weeks, 3 weeks,
Oh,
or
yeah, so we're actually got a couple 30,000-foot wells within 16 days from
oh
spud to
my
TD.
gosh, that used to be
Yeah.
40 days, 50 days. It's crazy.
Yeah, we're definitely moving now. Like I said,
Wow.
we're getting really efficient, and I know a lot of people are like, "Well, where are the rigs?" You know, there's everything's looking good. Where are the rigs? Like, well, the portion of it is that we've gotten more efficient on what we're doing and trying to keep those efficiencies, keep the operator happy. You know,
Yeah,
they make more whenever they can knock these out in less days. You know, where
100.
yeah, like you said, we used to do a straight vertical well in maybe 30 days. You know,
That
roller
was
film
that was
bit.
that was unbelievable. Remember?
It
That was
was
just, wow, you guys are amazing. You know,
gotta make 3 connections to the tower, you know, 8-hour towers, and there we are making 1 connection, maybe 2 connections, you know?
right. It's unbelievable. It really is.
Uh,
I think it's gonna be interesting the next 10 years where it goes, so but I was curious, how many people do you talk to? How many phone calls do you take in a day? Is it drive you nuts, or, it must be
Does it drive
overwhelming
me nuts?
sometimes. It must be overwhelming sometimes.
There is some days that will have 100 phone calls, and it might be
Oh,
just a issue on a well, and, you know, they're trying to get it sorted out, and we're touching base every, like, 5, 10 minutes, and it's just like, "Well, this just changed, this happened, this and this." You know, just you just never know, and then there's times where I just say, "The heck with it," you know? I gotta get off this phone. I'm just going to the site. I'm just gonna be there, and I'll let everybody, you know, from the office to my guys in the field be right there and make sure that we're taking care of the situation at hand. So, you know, honestly, I would say if I'm on the phone, maybe 5 people I need to speak to, but
okay, so
inside
okay,
on person, uh man, I like to talk to everybody because
sure,
you just don't know what has happened or what they've seen in the last 24 hours, or this could have started 2 days ago. Now we gotta
sure.
put this information together and hope that we can build a good conclusion of what's going on. And so,
So at Dynamic Drilling Fluids as a team,
yeah,
and a problem, maybe a major problem. Maybe we could talk. Maybe you can share one time about one of the biggest ones you ever had in terms of how you had to solve it. But what's the protocol at Dynamic? Are you on your own? Are you left to your own trying to figure it out? In
yeah,
terms of the decision making process, or does Justin get involved? Is there a
absolutely.
series of people get involved and like, hey, we need to do this, that, or the other?
Yes, sir. If it comes to a point that I'm like, "Whoa, uh, I've never seen this before. I really need to make phone calls," or, "Hey, there's, calls for something else that we need that we're typically not using on a well product wise or anything like that." No, I have to stop and say, "Hey, time out. Guys, let me get back with y'all because I need to make a phone call to Justin and get with
Yeah,
him and see what game plan we have because it may be a situation. For instance, I mean, I can give you a little situation. This is back when I was on a rig and we had an operator. We're drilling a well with clay free oil based mud and, you know, at that time, I was scared deathly of clay free mud. I was like, it's so expensive. It's this. I'm like, I don't want to mess it up. And we're drilling along and everything was fine. And we took on a water flow and
oh,
our oil water ratio got so bad. And, you know, this is where it goes back to making a team, right?
right.
Um, I was contacting my supervisor were contacting the office technical sales guys, and then they were contacting the vendors at that point. So everybody from vendors all the way down to the field and even the operator and the guys on site were all involved with this situation because we had gone past 50-50 oil water ratio, which is never a good thing. I mean, 60-40, I'm kind of like, eh, but going past that, I'm like, "Oh gosh," you know? So, we actually ended up at a 40-60 oil water ratio. We had flipped the mud at this point. But this
Wow.
clay-free system, the vendors were telling us, "Hey, it's fine. Don't worry about it." We're like, "No, like, it's bad." Like, they're like, "Just keep pouring emulsifier to it. It'll be fine." We're like and so we're just crossing our fingers, hoping things are going well, and we're able to finish the well with the flow, get out of the well, and then we're like, "Okay." we got a new game plan going forward with the operator. They're like, we're going to set casing deeper on the next well. So the next 4 wells, we took the time to recondition the mud, brought it back to
Mm,
life, and
gotcha.
there was no huge disaster, right? We saved some costs there. There was some cost, fighting the flow, but operator was okay with it because they said, "Hey, we didn't anticipate it, but it's here. It is what it is. Let's just keep drilling it." And so it definitely pushed me to my limits of like, "Oh no, oil-based mud is expensive. I'm scared out of my mind out there,
Right.
And you're trying to show the calmness out there the whole time, like, "Oh, this is no big deal," and you're like, no, deep down inside, you're freaking out. You're trying to figure out what's the next thing to do. So,
Yeah.
like I said, that was one that we had to get everybody involved. That's a true example of getting the operator involved, their supervisors, the cutting men on site, toll pushers, everybody, because we started fighting this thing. And well, with a flipped oil water ratio, viscosities go out the roof.
A
So,
roof. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
now we're
So
looking at screens, shaker screens. Like, yeah, we had to get everybody involved. It was crazy. We had to make changes, and we just did it and kept pushing on, and we're able to finish the well. And luckily, everything went well, got cakes in the bottom. We're like, "Thank goodness, we don't want everyone to do that again." So,
no, no, I can't imagine the pressure you're on. I be honest with you. I have my own pressures. It's nothing like what you deal with because it's such in the moment and it's in a
that's
crisis
right.
moment.
Yeah,
And you are being there and everyone will look to you and like, what's the answer? Right? They're
that's
all
right, that's
you
right.
got you got all these eyeballs and you're standing there. It's like you're on stage doing a play or something, and I forget your lines. You're like, you look, you know what I mean? It's
Absolutely,
terrifying.
absolutely, and I've been in
It
those situations, then they're like, "Just so what's your answer?" I'm like, "I don't have a good one right now, I promise you." I have 50,000,000
yeah,
things in my head thinking like, "This could be this," and just kinda going all over the place, and I was like, "But what is it? I don't know." Like, we're just gonna have to do a little trial and error, and
yep,
some operators don't like to hear that, but honestly, it's one of those deals that it happens. That's how we learn, and we fix things and we see those things, and that's a lot of my experience, I've seen over the years where we just didn't see something coming and it's boom, then hey, let's try to fix it. We try this, we try that, and we're doing the best that we can from our guys in the office, or like myself, technical sales guys trying to diagnose everything possible as quickly as possible from he might be on the road going to another rig or he might be in the office and then trying to run to the rig to you to help you out,
yeah,
so it just depends on the situation, and yeah, you have a lot of things going in your head and try not to say the wrong thing, because everybody's looking at you and they're like, "Oh, what's your answer?" And your answer may not be the best answer at the moment, and you're just trying to think it through, and then they'll sit down and like, "No, that was a terrible answer. What were you thinking?" I'm like, "Whoa, hang on, hang on." So
oh, it's so tough.
it's tough, but
And you can't and any organization too that is leading by consensus, I'm gonna reach out for help for sure, if I don't
absolutely,
understand something, and I have one guy that I call now routinely, like, if I don't totally get what they're asking me to get for them or, what spec or whatever I need to find, because 'cause I'm a supplier, so I'm on the supply side in terms of products and that kind of thing, and you need to get it right, but my point was, that, now I forget what I was gonna say, it's so funny, but, it's okay, but anyway, it's just so interesting the challenges you must face and the pressures that are there for real, and I don't necessarily have to face those things right in the crisis. I usually have a week or 2 weeks to kind of figure out what they need, and get it to them. So
yeah,
it's,
absolutely, and
it
that's the thing. Going kind of tying this into you is, if we don't have a product and we're needing it out here, we're making phone calls and like, "Hey, do you have this available? Hey, do you have this available?" And there's
yeah,
times we've called you like, "Hey, do you have a truckload of this? Because we just went
yeah.
through this."
Yeah. No, we're that way. We're truckload only. We don't do small stuff like Agri and Prez or any of those guys. We try to stay to the wholesale side. Our and what we're doing is, and again, Justin knows this because he even calls and asks sometimes because he has to double check. But like, and again, it hurts us. What I'm getting ready to say hurts us. It doesn't help us because what the operators are doing and what the pricing is doing and the pressure on you
Yep.
guys to push down and down and down the cost. And I'm absolutely holding the line on quality. and you're going to pay more for that. So I stick to what I'm doing. I've developed a mode. I've had the pressures to move to tech grades, to move down to from 92% to 95% purity pack L or pack
Yeah.
R. It's all my stuff's that way. My xanthan's 20 plus that are, it's not 13 and with a shelf, it's at 1 month till its shelf life is over. A lot of that's out there, or it's a product of Colombia, they've
Right?
rebagged it, and everyone's a criminal. No one's paying anti-dumping. No one's paying their duty. They're shipping it all over the world,
Hey.
repackaging, all this story.
Yes,
And,
sir,
and again,
absolutely.
I'm competing with the illegalities, all those kind of things. And we've decided as a group, me and all of us that are involved and invested in all this, is that we are not moving off of quality, and we might have fewer sales, but we have
Mhm.
no headaches. And the people that
Yeah.
actually commit to that idea absolutely love it. I know they do.
There is a lot
Y-
of benefit to that. I mean, superior products at the end of the day will go a long ways, and it's tough to sell sometimes because everybody, like you said, is driving that cost down, but I'm like, I mean, from anything that you want out there, if you have a cut of a product, I mean, it's not gonna perform as well, and then they're gonna ask, "Why isn't it performing as well?" Like, "Well, you told us to go down on price."
The guy that sold it to you cut it with starch.
Just
You know,
exactly, you know the game, you know the game.
it's terrible. Like I rebagged some stuff during COVID for you mentioned them on the show already, and I love this company. They're very good friends, and they are loyal as heck. But we were shipping them they said send every load of xanthan you can at all times. Never quit. Just keep sending it during COVID. It was
Right.
so they were hot on it, and then they were buying xanthan other places because they needed it because during COVID, Long Beach is a disaster. There's
Yep.
300 boats off on the shore. If you didn't have the shot, you couldn't get in the port. The drivers were like giving the middle finger to the gate guy, and you know what I mean.
Right.
I mean, you have no idea. See, those were
Hot
my
mess.
days. Yeah, where I'm like, and Justin saying, "Where's our stuff?" Well, there's like 22 containers out at the port, and we can't get a driver on there.
That's right.
It was very challenging. And again, still fun though. I have to say that. I'm always say that. I still like it. But but it's something that we've kind of just stuck to as a model, and we're just not going to move off it. And we would rather have fewer sales and do well than try to get all. Like I said earlier, I said I don't want all the business. I want all the good business. And the good business to me
Absolutely.
is people that really kind of want to do it right. I hear that too from customers. Like for me, I hear them talking, and I hear they want to do it right. And then some of my initial calls with a brand new guy calling to maybe buy product from me, I can tell you right now, he's cutting corners and trying to do everything he can to put every penny in his pocket.
Right.
He don't even care about my existence. You know, does that make sense?
Yes, it exactly does.
It's such an interesting industry, and again, I've kind of just I have a philosophy that I operate by. I'm talking too much. I should let you talk, but
No, you're
my
good,
po-
you're great.
m- my one thing is I really have this attitude of being very kindly difficult. It sounds crazy, but I'm very kind, and I just say, because they always want you to. They try to always beat you down, beat you down, beat you down, and I'll move a little bit, especially for Justin. Like he's had some challenges. I know he's bidding things, and I've moved a little bit for him. But for a lot of guys, I don't, and I'm just really kind about it. Hey, I appreciate it. I know you're trying to do your best, but we've got to survive too, and
Absolutely.
I hope you can appreciate that. And I always call it being kindly difficult. I don't want to argue. I don't want to cause conflict. And ultimately, I want those people to come back around, and they always
Absolutely.
will if you treat them with respect, always.
Absolutely.
Even though you just told them no.
In the kindest way.
Yeah, and I know that sounds crazy, but I've seen people just bluster, and they try to whatever. I'm like, you can't browbeat anyone into anything. Just say, hey, it doesn't work for you and I understand that, and hey, we'll maybe catch you on the next one.
Right.
And I just really try to be really kindly difficult, and
Kindly difficult. I
it's
like it, I
kind of
like it.
it's kind of a philosophy that's worked well for me, to be honest with you, in the sense of it's just eliminated the fights or arguments over different things, and I just Anyway, it sounds dumb, but I think it's an important thing to have when when you're communicating with people. So it's helpful. So, one of the questions here I have is, and I think about this is because I know a little bit about in terms of, again, a 30,000 foot view. One of the questions here is as wells continue to get longer and more technically demanding, where do you see drilling fluid engineering evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? What is the innovations coming? What are the things? Do you see anything that is going to absolutely? I have a customer that is developing something new for Halliburton, and they're claiming it's going to change the world. And they're and again, it might totally be true. But I don't. I know there's people working on new and innovative things all the time. What do you see in your own world with dynamic? What maybe some changes you guys are bringing, or some innovation you're bringing?
You know, it's hard to I guess in a way it's hard to change mud, right? It's
Right.
product. But with technologies like I mentioned earlier, the mud analyzer, that's with Pason. Great
Yeah.
company, and I think they have the new way of what we're wanting to see. It's just getting people to I guess not people, just mud engineers, don't be scared of this stuff, guys. It's not a tattletale system. You're doing everything right, it's gonna work fine. And it's gonna help you in the long run. Where, I know some guys fear it because they're like, "Oh, it's gonna take my job." I'm like, "It can't make the decisions that you make," you know?
No.
So,
Um,
with our side right now, I would say, that technology itself as to drilling fluids, but, products may be coming up with a few newer systems. I know NeoFlow is becoming a big thing up north, especially in your area. We hadn't seen it in, the Permian Basin yet, but, I imagine it'll be coming down here, and we'll end up having to figure that one out and seeing what can and cannot work, and what we're seeing differently because, you go from a traditional diesel-based, oil-based system to a mineral oil and this NeoFlow I don't know too much about, but, yeah, I've heard some things. You might see different, viscosities, different treatments to your fluid, so that may change good or bad to, the system, so it's just one of those deals we'll have to see as it comes along, and I know there's guys up north that probably have some good experience right now with that, and they're just getting after it and no problems, and maybe it's the way to go for right now as to getting things at a lower cost,
right.
it's kinda what we always move on, right, is cost. I mean, right now, we're doing water and lubricant.
Yeah,
I mean,
and I'm
and
I'm doing the exact opposite of that. I'm not, I mean, it's so funny. One of the quote that I was going to do from C.S. Lewis is the the as the herd runs for the cliff, the man running in the opposite direction is thought to be insane.
that's right.
you know, and 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 I can tell you right now, that's how I make decisions. If I see the herd all chasing one thing, somehow I know that's been a fad chasing thing, or somehow that's I always look over my shoulder, what's behind me that's maybe the best direction to go. And it sounds
That's right.
crazy, but I swear to you, the herd is not a good indicator of where we should go.
Yes, sir.
It is not, whether you believe it or not. So so you really need to be thinking, and that goes back to the earlier part of reading books, read white papers, read research, read technologies, read, and always be learning. And I think you have this in you, or you wouldn't be where you're at. But a lot of people just give up and get stuck. I literally think you're functionally dumb if you're not reading, if you're not studying, if you're not learning new things, creating new things. You're functionally dumb and you're stuck. You can't go forward, in my opinion. So,
I mean, yeah, absolutely. No, knowledge is power, right?
right.
So you got to be able to get that knowledge to help you move forward. And you're absolutely right. I mean, and there's no dumb question. I mean,
No.
that's one thing I tell all my guys. I'm like, I don't care how long you've been doing this. I have questions myself. I've been doing this for 15 years, going on 16.
Wow.
I've been in this for a minute, and at the same time, guys, like I have dumb questions, and,
Yep.
and it and it's one of those, and like people will look at me like, "Really, Tommy? That's what you asked?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just can't remember. Maybe I just slipped my memory. I don't know." We got a lot of things going on in our lives and in our head too, especially uh with the guys out in the field, making sure we're doing everything right. But there's never a dumb question, and I
No.
try to take that out to the field as well to my guys, and I tell my guys in the field, hey, that derrick hand or that um, lead lead tongue hand, whatever he may be, floor hand, floor hand. I'm going, you're just showing some age right there, lead tongue hand.
Right.
They don't have those anymore,
No.
but um, those guys out there, they want to learn. I've had a couple of good derrick hands that became mud engineers, and man, they're phenomenal because they understand what we're trying to do. And that's
Right.
kind of those deals. I mean, there's guys that can come straight into drilling fluids and learn very well and adapt. But there's guys that, had to go through the system of getting on a rig, working, from the bottom on up. And then, hey, I wasn't quite
Ki
ready to be a driller. So I wanted to be something else. And
Kind of the best guys, I
yeah,
hate to say it,
absolutely.
they know the process from beginning to end a little bit, not all of it, but
Yeah.
the financial part and the investor part, all those things, those are huge parts in the background too that no one really talks about, but because
Yes,
where's the
sir.
money coming from, right? But,
That's right.
again, talking more about innovation, and again, we're gonna get close to wrapping up again, but, this is something I'm fascinated by because I really feel like as I read, you look at the politics of the Iran war, and we go down to Venezuela, and we're bragging about we got all this oil. Well, you can't even pump the stuff. They're going to add 500,000 barrels total, maybe because this stuff's like you can cut it. I think. Am I wrong? I think it's so thick, right? It's
Right.
so
Yeah.
the viscosity is like whatever. So, and then when they brag about that, I hear politicians talk and 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 I just want to cringe sometimes because they just don't understand and they're saying things and this week it's the gas stations are gouging, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, Exxon is 3% of the total world oil market, and you're ripping on Exxon about gas prices. You know what I mean? It's so silly, and it's political, right? But
Absolutely.
at the same time, when I look at all these factors that we deal with politically, and then I realized in the oil field, what's happening too is two things are happening. And that the pressure's on from the outside that if people that just don't understand the industry, and I think they're really impacting investment and whatever the Green New Deal was, during the Biden years, and all those monies left us and went all over this place, and that's failing, you
Yep.
know, all the challenges that we deal with. But one of the other challenges I think we're dealing with is over the last 40, 50 years is as oil's gotten more efficient, we just talked about how we're down to 16 days, the efficiencies, the technology, the wealth of knowledge. We have fewer people out there anymore.
Yep.
The number of employees have dropped from, I want to say it's 250,000 in 2015 down to like 130, 140 is all there, it's in half, essentially.
Absolutely.
So the number of people are gone, all those kind of things. But at the same time, when you look at our oil reserves, what we've done over the last 40, 50 years is we've gotten all the low hanging fruit. We've got maybe the easiest stuff right now, and what we're now moving into is that's kind of going away. And there's plenty of oil, everybody. Don't flip out. There's oil coming out our ears, just so you know. So stop thinking I'm saying we need to conserve and shut off our energy. What I'm saying is because I'll get comments. Trust me.
Yes,
What
sir.
but what my point is the low hanging fruit that was maybe the easiest to get is kind of now being set aside, where we're going to have to be more ingenuity, more creativity to get to the stuff that's more unconventional, more difficult, and that kind of thing. And I think that's a trend that is going to drive this innovation thing, in my view.
Yes. No, absolutely, I agree with you, and like I mentioned, we hadn't heard of U-turn wells until maybe a couple years ago,
Right.
and that's innovation, right? We're trying something different. We're trying to figure out, can we get more out of a formation if we were to do this, or, um, what are those efficiencies? And it takes about a year to see all this stuff too, so we don't just see it after we drill it, there's the whole process behind it too.
Yeah.
And so with those things, I think we are gonna get, I'd say, starting doing longer laterals, and the U-turns are definitely gonna become a thing. and
Right.
that's going to be a big deal. I mean, the longest lateral that we have with an operator is a 4 mile lateral, and
Wow.
then that's pretty tough. I mean, and trying to
Yeah.
keep and this is just water and lube, like you can't even say it's a
Jeez.
system because it's
No.
not. It's just water and lube, and we've been able to do that pretty consistently now, and those things do matter at the end of the day, and we're pushing those 4 mile laterals, and it's just like, man, there's a lot of torque, and different size pipe. There's a lot of aspects of it that we see, and we're like, man, can we do something different? We're always trying to change something to make it better. But
Yeah, and I guess my thing is, necessity is the mother of invention. That's a mother of invention. Excuse my language, but I actually think there's going to be a necessity for innovation, a necessity for people to get creative because I think that we're going to be a little more challenged more than maybe we have been in the past in terms of
uh,
getting this energy out of the ground and applying it to our economy and the world. I don't know. I could be wrong, and it's probably someone smarter than me, but that's the way I see it. I think the low hanging fruits kind of set
yeah,
aside,
yeah,
and
absolutely. Both me and you, there's guys smarter than us.
oh my gosh. I when I joke about that I start sweating, I'm not exaggerating. Like sometimes, I'll be at a conference and I'm sitting next to a guy and I'm just staring at the table. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy, is this Einstein? What's the, you know,
Get it? I get it.
you know,
Uh,
then I feel inadequate, not bringing it back to me, but I'll feel like, man, should I even be doing this? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Sometimes I can feel that way, like, man, oh man.
absolutely.
But
And that's okay. It's okay to be that guy in the room sometimes. The best thing is to listen.
yep,
Sometimes we just gotta listen, and
yep.
we'll figure things out. I'm not a huge talker at all times. If I'm your friend, you'd be like, "Nah, Tommy, you talk a lot now." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a pretty happy guy."
Yeah. Well, you seem like just a gem of a person, I can tell. And again, as we wrap up the show, um, again, I'm not trying to pitch for, Dynamic or even you or anybody, but, ultimately, uh, companies like Dynamic are absolutely probably unheard of you ask anybody in the country, no one would know who they are.
Right.
They just kind of fly under the radar in this industry in terms of the world, but not in the industry, they're well known. But 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 I still say that what the efforts you're doing and what they're doing and what other companies just like you guys are doing are absolutely critical to my grandkids' future, and I see it that way, and I care, and your kids as well. You know, in many ways, we just take for granted. We think we have a job, and I don't think it's a job. I actually think it's I wouldn't say calling, but it's just really important for us to do a good job for our future generations. And really, we're setting the foundation for some of the future stuff that we'll be dead. I'll be dead and gone. Uh,
Absolutely.
but I
Yes,
do
sir. I agree
believe
with you
it's. And,
100%.
and and again, oh, you're overstating it, Workman. You're talking. It's crazy. You don't talk that way. It's just money. It's just economy. It's just. And I actually don't all those parts are in there. Trust me, I like to make a living, pay my bills, take care of my family. All that's part of what I'm doing. It's 100% important. But at the same time, I don't do anything unless I feel strongly about it, and that's really been a driver for me. And I think what you're doing and what Dynamic does in terms of out there in West Texas and Justin's leadership, we've kind of joked about Justin a little bit that,
Yeah.
but that guy is as trustworthy as they come, and I just think that drives me, that kind of stuff. So I want to promote what you're doing, and I appreciate you coming on as a guest. I'm very grateful.
Sure. No, thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it. And it might be the worst show you have. I don't know, but I'm
No,
glad to be
it
here.
no, it won't be the worst show. The worst show is one I did with my wife, and we got in a fight.
Okay, I might be above that one, just there.
No, I shouldn't say that online. She might
No,
listen to
I'm
this,
kidding.
but no, I'm just teasing. We didn't get in a fight. It was just It's just interesting, and no, I love this, and I love these conversations, and I hope we can do it again. I hope you're okay with that. If I ask you,
Absolutely. No, this
we
has been fun, and we just got to sit down and really just talk about what's going on, things. Um, and this is just one of those I think is great for everybody to see. Like, I'm vulnerable at this point to everybody out there, so it is what it is. We're gonna just keep talking and figure out what the next step is, because we don't know what it
100%.
is.
No, and again, and you know this, the we could do a show every day for the rest of our lives and never touch the same subject.
That's right.
It's cr it's crazy how much there is to learn and what, and what we could talk about. And again, this is an introductory show. We're talking a little bit of philosophy and different things of how we operate and, importance of service and all those kind of things. But, these are important topics. So, and again, we could never duplicate them again if we did a show every day the rest of our
Right.
lives.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Well, hey, thanks for coming, and I sure appreciate you, Tommy. It's just a fun conversation. I can't even tell you how much I loved it. So thanks for coming. Everybody, please like and subscribe. It helps the show. I know I'm repetitive, but I need this to grow in the right way. I'm not looking for clicks. I'm not even looking for views. I'm looking for people that want this message. And if I have 500 subscribers, that is wonderful. If I have 1,000, that's wonderful. Then that means there's 1,000 people that are interested in this content. And again, it helps support the show more than you realize. So thanks for that, and everyone have a great Fourth, and go blow something up.
There you go.
See you, buddy.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.